All right, so you ready?
Yep.
What's up, everyone, and welcome back to NFL Only here on Spark Talk. And today we will be going over our top five quarterbacks in the 2021 NFL Draft. The way we're going to do it is we're going to go over like our 10 through 7. We're going to give like little tidbits on them, give us our thoughts on them. They're going to be like maybe seventh, fifth to seventh rounders most likely, and then
Yeah.
we'll say our number five, and then we'll say why that number six person, because it's a six quarterback class. Very possible that six quarterbacks get drafted in the first round this year. And we're going to say why that number six person didn't make it into our top five, and then we'll get into our top five. But first things first, we'll get into the big trade that happened yesterday. Carson Wentz getting traded to the Indianapolis Colts for a third round pick in 2021 and a second round pick in 2022 that could
Right.
turn into a first round pick if he plays, was it 75% of his snaps, or if he plays, was it 70 snaps and makes the
70
playoffs?
no, 70 snaps would be low. If he plays 75%, just
75%, bro.
75%
70 snaps is
period.
like a game.
What?
Yeah. 70 snaps is a game.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's 75% of the snaps for the entire season. Or
Mm-hmm.
if he only does 70% and then the Colts make the playoffs, they will owe the Philadelphia Eagles a first round pick next year.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah. Also, yeah. Sorry, we're
Which
just
basically means like if Wentz gets hurt,
yeah.
and the Colts have a terrible season, well, then they can keep that first round pick and pick a quarterback. Or, if Wentz does well, the Colts are good, the Eagles can have that first round pick. It's.
Yeah. Sorry, there's like a little bit audio issues. We're still doing the Skype thing again. So sorry if you hear like little echoes or something in the background. We're still doing the Skype. So like just like I guess a forewarning, just in case like you hear some stuff in the background. But yeah, I agree with you. How do you like? I like the trade personally for the Colts. I think it's a great trade because last time Carson Wentz was with Frank Reich, I think he should have been MVP that year. I know he only played 14 games, but like what he did for Philadelphia in those 14 games was
Right.
absolutely insane, and I think he should have won MVP. That was the last time he was with Frank Wright, and so he's finally back with him. Was it 4 years later?
Yeah, that'll be 4 years.
3 or 4 years, yeah, 3 or 4 years later. So why not? He can. I think he can replicate that. And I've been, if you listen to this podcast previously, I've gone into why I think Carson Wentz had a bad year last year. I think it was a culmination of things. You go terrible, the worst offensive line in the league. He was hit the most. He was sacked the most. Uh, and then you combine that with he didn't even have a number two wide receiver on his team last year. Wide receiver that would be a number two on any other team. He didn't even have that. And he was thrown to a lot of practice squad people again this year. And plus, I don't think he wanted to be in Philadelphia
Right.
either. And so I think that just contributed to a lot of bad play this year. And so now he's going to be in Indianapolis, which I'm excited to see.
Yeah, I mean, as a Colts fan, I'm excited because it takes the stress away from worrying about the quarterback position. I mean, the only thing, again, that you worry about is, he did not have a great season this past year. And I know there are a bunch of circumstances surrounding, why you could explain why he did have a bad season. But, I mean, if you look at 2017, we know well about the fact, yeah, if he wouldn't have got hurt, he would have been MVP. But if you even look into 2018 and 19, Wentz, I thought, was great. I mean, especially in 2019. I mean, he carried that entire team on his back to the playoffs and took a shot in the back of the head on a spear from Clowney
Yeah, I think it was
that
great.
knocked him
Yeah.
out of the game. And if he doesn't get hurt, I think the Eagles end up winning. He takes his team to the divisional round.
Yeah, because
So
Josh McDaniels, Josh McCown on a torn
Josh
hamstring.
McCown, that man, he strained his
Torn
hamstring.
hamstring. Yeah, I know, and he still
Did
almost
he
won
tear
the
it? He
what?
tore it, didn't he?
Yeah. He tore his hamstring,
Oh my
and
gosh.
he still almost won the game. I think it just shows you like how close. If Carson Wentz is in that game, they win that game.
Right.
Uh,
That,
Carson Wentz is still if he's still not the same quarterback what he used to be, he's still a pretty solid quarterback at that.
right. I mean, like even if he doesn't duplicate being an MVP caliber quarterback, I think he brings more to the table than what Phillip Rivers did last year. Phillip Rivers, the year before he goes to Indy. Yeah. Yeah, so anyways, well, so what I was saying was the fact that Phillip Rivers, the season before he went to Indianapolis, he did not do well at all for the Chargers. I mean, people were basically telling him to retire, right? So I think if you look at what Carson Wentz has and the fact that, sorry, I have to get this situated.
Good.
I got kicked out of my spot. Anyways, though, so if you look at this situation, though, anyways, that Phillip Rivers was in and put him in the situation that he did last year, and Phillip Rivers was efficient as crap. I mean, he looked good. I mean, look in the playoff game when they were playing the Bills, they marched up and down the field on them, and they looked. I mean, I thought they looked. That Colts offense was like, man, like I was honestly wanting Phillip to come back. I felt like they hit their stride late in the season, and I feel like if you put Carson Wentz in the situation, what?
They left 10 points off the board.
Right, and I think if you put Carson Wentz in this situation, I mean, we've seen the throws that Carson Wentz can make. I mean, he can make some Andrew Luck type of throws, right? I mean, going down to the ground and throwing the ball out. I mean, he was the sensation before Patrick Mahomes came on the scene, right? I mean, he was. I mean, Carson Wentz was the next, like, oh, shoot, like, this guy's for real kind of quarterback. I mean, he's a gunslinger mentality. He's a good athlete. He can extend plays. I mean, you give him the best offensive line in football, which I now think the Colts are going to use that first-round pick on a tackle, I would assume. That would be the smartest thing. Or they're going to go out and get a left tackle in free agency that they know will sure that up. But, I mean, and the Colts have money. The Colts need to spend it. Like, hey, you invest in Carson Wentz, invest in your offense. Now that, you know, I like the weapons that the Colts have in Pittman, I think they need to re-sign T.Y. I love their tight ends. I love Jonathan Taylor. You know, I wasn't a big fan of the pick, but I think Jonathan Taylor proved me wrong, absolutely. And then you have Nyheim Hines, who I love in the backfield. That Carson Wentz had a back in Darren Sproles that he liked quite a bit before he got injured and broke his arm and tore his ACL in the same play, which is like awful. So I think he comes into a situation where there's a lot of familiarity, obviously with the offense in Frank Reich, but with the kinds of weapons that he's going to be able to work with, and especially if the Colts can get a Zach Ertz or if they can get another caliber player. Drop my phone. They can get another caliber player similar to a Zach Ertz at the tight end position where you have that safety net for Carson Wentz. I really like what the Colts have done. And, again, for me, what the Colts have to do is really build up around him offensively on the O-line, make sure that he doesn't get hit, continue to build the weapons on the outside. And then just as long as Chris Ballard does what he has been doing, I think the Colts are set up for success. It's just what Carson Wentz are you going to get?
Yeah. I agree with that. I agree with like everything. I don't think I really could add any more what you said to it.
Right.
I think you nailed everything on the head there. Once again, I really like the trade for the Colts. I don't know if it's like an upgrade necessarily from Phillip Rivers.
Okay.
But he can do different stuff than that Phillip Rivers can't. So the offense is going to look a little bit different.
That's a good point.
But well, honestly, I still think it's a positive for the Colts. They're better than what they were without before the trade.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I agree with that. I absolutely agree with that.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at the dominoes. Like, what does this do for the Chicago Bears? Are the Bears now like the Bears are a team I think that have a Super Bowl roster, in my opinion. I mean, we've been saying that now for the past 3 years, but I mean, they still do. Yes, they need to improve their O-line, but they have the weapons on offense. You have the running back. Obviously, the defense is great. Does this mean are the Bears going to go all in and go trade up for a Justin Fields or a Trey Lance or somebody of that nature? And obviously, we're going to dive into this quarterback soon, or are they going to, sit back and take one of these guys later in the draft? Are they going to go after and try to trade for a Derek Carr or a Sam Darnold? I think it really makes it interesting for what the Bears are going to do because, I mean, Pace and Nagy are on the hot seat. And so for me, looking at them, like they really need to make a move. And you could look at it and say, like, well, with Trubisky, like they started to hit their stride and all that kind of stuff at the end of the season. You could maybe say that, but I really think that they have to approach it from they have to get better at the quarterback position in a big way to capitalize on this roster, where it's going to be looked at in a very disappointing way for a lot of Bears fans that, wow, we had so many great players and so many great pieces on this team, and we could not again find the quarterback to push this team over the top.
Yeah. So yeah. Sorry, somebody like haunted somebody. That was weird.
No, it's all good.
Somebody on the outside there. All right, so yeah, so we'll get into our quarterback rankings here for the 2021 draft, and I'll do my 10 through 7, and then I'll let Houston do his 10 through 7.
Okay, yeah, that's cool.
And we'll do it like that, and then we'll rotate.
We don't want to spend too much time. We don't want to spend too much time on the 10 through 7. So absolutely.
Yeah. So my number 10 is Felipe Franks. I think he's a really strong arm. He has some escapability. He has some nice athleticism. But I just think he's way too indecisive at times throwing the football. He doesn't have a good deep ball either. And I think the one hardest thing is like we don't get enough what is it called? The all angles and stuff. The
all 22.
All 22. There we go. Yeah, we don't get those type of that film. So we have to look at like broadcast angles on YouTube and all that. So it's very hard to see how the play unfolds at times and see what the quarterback is actually supposed to be doing.
Right. That's a good point.
I think that's the hardest thing about just scouting these quarterbacks. Is trying to see how they're going through progressions, and you can see when the quarterback definitely stares down a receiver on those angles, but you don't know what their what their assignment is on that job. It's very hard to do that with the quarterback, but I think Felipe could be a good. I think what Joe Flacco is now, I think that's his ceiling a little bit, but it's like just a good backup, strong-arm quarterback that can come in, and Felipe has a little bit more athleticism there. So Felipe Franks is my number 10 quarterback. My number 9 is Kellen Mond. I think he has a good arm too. He has some really nice athleticism. Mm-hmm. I think he goes through progressions a little bit better. It's a little bit one side of the field type of progressions. Like he doesn't go all the way through the field stuff. Jimbo Fisher didn't ask much of him at Texas A&M.
Yeah.
But yeah, same with him though with Felipe Franks. His accuracy is way too inconsistent.
Right.
And he stares down receivers way too much for me. But I think he's just a little bit better with arm talent and athleticism than Felipe Franks. My number 8 is Shane Boucher from SMU.
Bobby Boucher?
He goes. I think he goes through his progressions pretty well. He has some really good escapability. He's very athletic. His arm talent, it's not the best, but I think it can get it done at the NFL level. And he can throw outside the pocket, like throwing on the run and all that. He has very good arm angles when throwing the football. Mm-hmm. He's a little bit inconsistent with his accuracy, and I think inconsistent at climbing in the pocket, which he doesn't climb the pocket enough to go through his progressions. He tries to escape the pocket and tries to do hero ball stuff all the time. And it cost him a lot of yards. It cost him a lot of stuff. But I'm a big fan of like baseball quarterbacks, so like the Russell Wilson, the Pat Mahomes, the Kyle Murray, because they can just with their arm angles alone, they can get a lot of passes in.
Right.
So a lot of openings, and usually they're pretty athletic. They know how to slide. They know how to get down, and I think their arm they know how to push the ball down the field a little bit better.
Right.
So I think Shane Boucher has I think he's gonna have a pretty good upside as a backup, like a Case Keenum-esque type of player. So I think he has a good. I think he has a good role in the NFL. My number 7 is, I don't know if you scouted him or have heard of him, Dustin Crum from Kent State. This dude probably has the strongest arm in the class this year.
Okay.
That dude can launch the football, and he's pretty accurate too. He had one of the highest completion percentages in the NCAA
Okay.
this year. He has amazing athleticism, which is insane. He runs like a I know people watching this probably don't know who this is, but Hayden Sheldon, my high school quarterback, my sophomore year, was a track star. Went to college for track. He runs just like him a little bit, so he has that kind of. He's kind of lanky. He's a smaller fit guy. Like he's 200. He's like 6'3", 200 pounds. So he needs to he needs to get some weight on him. I think that's his biggest problem.
Right.
I know he's studying Dustin Crum is studying engineering. He's a smart guy, and I think he can. I think at the next level he can be able to decipher a lot of defenses, a lot of zone coverages, and I think as a quarterback, if he gets in the right system, he reminds me a lot of another. I think small-statured quarterback with that probably need to gain a lot more weight to Sam Bradford.
Okay.
That's where he reminds me of a lot. Not the rookie year Sam Bradford, but maybe at the year 2, year 3. But I think Dustin Crum really has a high ceiling, but a very low floor as well. I think he could be the sleeper of the quarterback class, where all of a sudden like he's one of these people that people remember that he comes in as a backup. He's like a Ryan Fitzpatrick, comes in and has these like amazing games out of the blue.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's my 10 through 7. I'll go over them again. I got Felipe Franks at number 10, Kellen Mond at number 9, Shane Boucher at 8, and Dustin Crum at 7.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I will go through my 10 through 7. So my number 10 is Jamie Newman. He was a guy, you had to go back to 2019 to watch film on him. He set out this past year. I think it would have done him a lot better to play for Georgia and all that kind of stuff. But I think he's a strong kid. He's very muscular looking, very good athlete. He's a tough guy. I mean,
yeah, he looks like a safety.
Huh?
He looks like a safety.
Yeah, he does. I mean, he's very he just looks like he's just a very good looking athlete. I watched his game last year against Clemson. He just got beat up, but he just continued to play and push through it the whole game. That's why I wrote down he was really tough. For me, though, having him at number 10, he underthrows a lot of deep balls. He has the arm strength, but there's times where he just he almost he puts too much touch on the ball. He doesn't drive the ball enough. Again, his mechanics and footwork are inconsistent, in my opinion. I think he does an okay job of reading through his progressions when he's asked to do it, but he's not asked to do it that much. It's very RPO, heavy. It's college football, of course.
Yeah, I'll say something because I've seen that with a lot of quarterbacks in this draft class. Is a lot of them, they can go through progressions at times, but they're not asked to a lot. So, when they do go through their progressions, they're inconsistent with it.
Right.
They make some great reads, and all of a sudden they make some bad reads. So, every quarterback has something, I think, to build on at an NFL level.
Oh, absolutely.
But they're just not asked to do it as much.
Absolutely. There's always going to be that learning curve, though, for sure. But I also did like the fact that he did have an ability to extend plays with his feet. And things like that. For me, he was someone that I kind of looked at as like a Deshaun Kaiser, where he has a lot of tools that you like about him. Where he's big, he's strong, he's athletic. He does have a good arm, but he has accuracy issues and things like that. So that's what he reminded me of, is kind of a Deshaun Kaiser. But I think he's definitely a guy that is going to be picked late in the draft, if anything, especially not playing last year. At number 9, I have Kellen Mond as well. For me, his mechanics were very robotic. He looks like a robot when he throws. He does have a good arm. He has a strong arm. I do like his ability to fit the ball into tight windows. There's times where he's throwing it between 2 and 3 guys, and it's wow, that looks really good. But then there's other times the ball, it looks terrible. He throws it 2 yards behind his receiver, or way over the head or at the feet of his guys. So it's so inconsistent that it worries me. He's a good athlete. He's not great or anything like that, but he's able to extend some plays and be able to, run and get some first downs with his feet, which I think is something that you need nowadays in the NFL. I do feel like he does get flustered in the pocket. He's not a guy that's going to sit in there and make the throws you need. He gets very like, oh, I need to move and get out and see. And again, like what you said, I agree completely. Where he gets locked onto his receivers too much, and doesn't really read through his progression, and doesn't really allow himself to read through it. He's just like, hey, I need to throw it to this guy. That's who I'm throwing it to. For me, he kind of reminded me of like a Brett Hundley. That the Packers got as well. Just a guy that I think he can come in and like he could be a serviceable backup in the future. But again, he's going to be a guy that you're going to have as a third team guy, as a practice squad guy for the first 2 or 3 years before he really develops into anything if he does. Number 8, I have Peyton Ramsey from Northwestern. He's a guy I actually kind of liked. I thought I liked some of the stuff I saw. I thought he was accurate. I think he has a solid arm. It's not anything to be crazy about, but he has a solid arm. He's not a special thrower. He's not a special athlete. He's not going to wow you on tape or anything like that. But I think he has good backup ability in his repertoire. I think he's a smart football player. I think he reads through his progressions solidly. I think he's very accurate, and I think that's something that I really like quite a bit about him. For me, I kind of looked at him as like a Case Keenum, Chase Daniel kind of guy, where he could come in and like if you needed a guy that like, hey, we need a guy that could win us a game. Not now. Look, if he's going to start for you the whole season, not what you want. But if you needed a guy that could fill in for a game or something like that, I think he's a guy in a couple years that could really fill in once he gets the groove and understands what it takes to be an NFL quarterback. My number 7 is Kyle Trask.
Oh, it is?
Yeah, I was not a big fan of him. I gave him a C grade for me. Look, he has great size. He does have good arm strength. I think he can put it on the money when his mechanics and when he's on point with everything like that. He looks the part. Like he throws it into tight windows. He puts it right on the money. But I don't think he has a lot of great pocket movement. I think sometimes he can get kind of just stuck in there and he doesn't move too well. He's not going to be a guy that extends plays all too well, in my opinion. I think he has some fumbling issues. That was something that that popped out to me was he does fumble the ball a little bit more than I would like. I don't think he throws a tight spiral. I think it's very inconsistent. I think there are times I've seen like, wow, that was a good spiral, but a lot of the times he leaves it wobbling through the air. I think his footwork is inconsistent. I don't think he's very accurate most of the time. I think again, like I said, when he's on point, yeah, he looks the part, but it's not that often in my opinion. I just didn't like a lot of the stuff I saw. I think he gets locked onto his number 1 read too much and tries to force it to him. And I said at the end, I said he has all the tools to be successful, and you see flashes of him being very good. But for me, it's just too inconsistent to be like, hey, now look, if you're going to take a flyer on him in round 4 and say like, hey, round 4, I'm going to draft Kyle Trask, and I think I could develop him into something. Absolutely, I think that's a great pick. But the whole conversation of putting him into the first round, for me personally, I do not like that idea at all. I think it's a bust waiting to happen. And it's a disaster. Like, you're putting too much pressure on him. But if you draft him in the 3rd or 4th round and allow him to develop and be a guy that could sit behind someone for a couple years, 2, 3, 4 years, I think he could be a guy that you see like, oh, you know what? Like, he's developed into something pretty solid. So, again, my number 10 is Jamie Newman. Number 9 is Kellen Mond. Number 8 is Peyton Ramsey. And number 7 is Kyle Trask.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll get into. We'll say who our top 5 is, or who our number 5 is, real quick, and then we'll go over the number 6 for like a brief second, and then we'll get into the number 5.
Okay.
So who's your number 5, Houston?
So my number 5 is Trey Lance.
That's mine too, a little bit, so we can talk about it at the same time. So who's your number 6 then?
My number 6 is Sam Ehlinger.
Sam Ehlinger.
Yes, from Texas. Maybe I just like him more than most people.
He's a great leader. I like his leadership a lot. He reminded me of Tebow a lot from Florida, like when Tim Tebow was at Florida.
Okay. Who was your 6?
My 6 was Kyle Trask.
Okay.
I had some of the same issues that you had with him. Like, I like him. I don't think he's a 4th round talent. I don't think he's a 1st round talent. I think you pick him up in the 2nd round or early 3rd round. I think he's a perfect fit. I think he's the Jacob Eason of this draft. where you can pick him up in not a first round situation, but developing.
Okay, yeah, I think I agree with that. That's kind of what came to my mind too. With Sam Ehlinger, he's a good athlete. I like his mobility. I love his ability to extend plays. I mean, he kind of plays that backyard style scramble football that I find fun to watch. I'm not gonna lie. He has a good arm. Nothing great, nothing special there. I don't think he has a great ability to push the football down the field. He's not gonna hey, let's go push the ball down the field and be a vertical offense. He's not gonna do that. But I think he has good accuracy. I think his ball placement can be a little all over the place at times. That I definitely feel like that's the case. A lack of pro offense and the Big 12 and versus Big 12 defense can scare me. When some of the issues that he does have, those things should not be there when you're playing a Big 12 defense. Like, you should be able to you should be more consistent with your accuracy, I should say.
Yeah.
But I do think he has a good ability to read through his progression. I do like that. I just feel like he's one of those guys that you can draft in the third or fourth round. Again, I think he's a third or fourth round kind of guy. That could say hey, we draft him in third or fourth round. He could be, and I know it's a cop out, but he could be a Colt McCoy kind of guy, or a Case Keenum kind of quarterback, where, hey, we need a guy to come in and we need a guy to start for a few games because our starter got hurt. And I think he could actually do some things and be successful in the league. Now, again, not long term, but I think he has long term backup ability. So,
yeah, I would agree with you on that. The reason I had Kyle Trask at 6 is a lot of the stuff you mentioned. His lack of mobility in the pocket scares me a whole bunch. I know he has that brace around his knee. I think he had to have something to his knee. So, he's kind of like a statue almost.
Yeah, exactly. That worries me a lot.
They did a lot of design runs with him, a lot of quarterback draws, and he looked pretty good pushing the line of scrimmage, going through them, and he ran tough. But he wasn't nothing special, something you see maybe a Trey Lance or Justin Fields, they break off a 30, 40-yard run.
Right.
He would only break off 5 to 10 yards maybe because he's so slow. He's so, I'm trying to think of the word. It's not athletic, but it's oh man, I can't think. Agile. He's not very agile.
Right. Okay. Yeah. I get what you're saying.
He's very stiff. Right. I think one of his biggest issues was when he has a nice pocket, he throws a really good football.
Okay.
When he gets knocked off his feet, his mechanics go haywire. His footing is not the best. He doesn't replace his feet all that well. And then, like you said, he stares at his number one option a lot, which is most of the time Kyle Pitts. Or back doing a wheel route, because they did a lot of that this year.
Right.
And he just stares them down until they get open, which most of the time Kyle Pitts is going to get open against anybody in college.
Right.
And whoever your running back is should get open against the linebacker, and he just stared him down until they got open. There were times though, he would I think what we mentioned earlier, he would go through his reads at times, make some really good decisions, and there's some building blocks there. Yeah, but there's just I think a little bit too much inconsistencies.
Right.
Film. So my I think ceiling for him was I try to think of a big thick quarterback, which Ben Roethlisberger, but an older Ben Roethlisberger.
Okay, yeah, I would say Kyle Trask kind of reminded me of almost like a Jacoby Brissett, without the ability to extend the plays.
I would agree with that too. That's why I said an older Big Ben. Big Ben hasn't been able to extend plays. He's able to stroke people off and throw some good passes. Which I've seen Kyle Trask get hit and throw a ball 34 yards down the field, make a good pass. He has the ability to throw out of hits.
Right.
But he doesn't have the ability to escape them.
Right, exactly.
He's going to drag down. He's going to either throw it or he's going to get sacked. He's not going to escape it. And then I think his floor is like a Mike Glennon almost type of player. Big, tall quarterback.
I said Ryan Mallett, but yeah, I think that's right on there, right on par with that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's what I had for him. So, so My number 6 is Kyle Trask. Yours is Sam Ellinger.
Mm-hmm.
All right, cool. Yeah, so we'll get into our number 5. We'll start our top 5 here. Mine is Trey. Both of ours is Trey Lance.
Quarterback from North Dakota State.
Yeah.
Do you want me to start?
Yeah, you can start.
Okay, so I gave him a B- grade for me. I definitely feel like he's a first-round caliber player. Absolutely. I think that. Now, do I have issues with him? Absolutely, I do. I think there are 5 first-round quarterbacks in this draft that I think you should draft and take a chance on. But with Trey Lance, he's a great athlete. You can't deny that. I mean, some of the runs that he has, some of the things that he does with his feet, I think not a lot of guys can do that. I think it's really, really special on his part. I do think he has I think he's very strong. I think he has a very strong arm in that sense as well. Like I think strong in the sense I think he's good at breaking tackles and shrugging guys off. But he does have a strong arm. He can push the ball down the field. He has a great scrambling ability. But I think he has a lot of accuracy issues. That's my biggest concern with him. Accuracy issues. At times, he doesn't look comfortable throwing in the pocket. Like when they ask him to just step back and read around and throw and do classic quarterback, pocket quarterback style, he looked like he struggled with that. He looked like he had some issues being comfortable in that situation. I think he has a lot of overthrows. I think he pushes the ball too hard down the field and doesn't put it on the money too much. I feel like he has a lot of mechanic issues that need to develop. I think he kind of is like a Jordan Love this year in a way. How we had Jordan Love where he had a lot of talent, but hey, he's going to have to learn some mechanical issues and fix some things before he allows that talent to really be on display. I think he's a lot better throwing on the run and off sprint outs and boots. So I think if you can get him into an offense early on where he's doing a lot more play action, boots, he's doing a lot more sprint outs and rollouts, he can be on his game. He's a lot more comfortable throwing on the run than he is standing still. I do think he has a lot of potential. I just think he's going to have some time to sit and develop behind a good veteran. I think, his size, his arm, his great arm strength, his athletic ability, for me, that stuff is stuff you can't coach. And I think that's why, for me, he's number 5. Is if some of the mechanical issues were better, if some of the accuracy issues were better, he would absolutely be higher up. But it's just, I can't get over that stuff because that's going to play an issue for me. But here, I'll tell you my ceiling for him.
I was going. Yeah,
you want me to wait?
No, you're great. You're right. You can say it. I was like, does that make sense? It just makes sense. I just say you're selling him for.
Okay, yeah. So my ceiling for him is Josh Allen. I think he has. I was gonna say Cam Newton, but I felt like that was a cop out because I feel like everybody's kind of saying Cam Newton. I think he has Josh Allen because I think Josh Allen came in the league with accuracy issues and mechanical issues and things like that. But he had such great talent that you're like, if somebody can just coach him the right way, he's going to be successful. And I think if somebody gets Trey Lance in that situation, he'll be successful. My floor for him is Jamarcus Russell. Again, Jamarcus Russell, ultra talented. I'm not calling Trey Lance stupid by any means. I don't know him personally that way. But Jamarcus Russell had all this talent in the world and was a complete bust. Now, was a lot of that work ethic? Absolutely. But I think, he does have that potential to have a lot of talent and not work out in the NFL.
Yeah. The thing, I like a lot of the stuff you like about him. I like about him. I think his arm talent's amazing. I would put Crum and him on the same level as like arm strength. I think they're up there with Josh Allen. They're not as good as Josh Allen or Pat Mahomes.
Oh, right, yeah.
But they're up there with him. He's a really good running quarterback. I really liked him running the football. He has really good speed. Like he was burning a lot of secondary players in D1 AA, which I don't know how much that is saying. I know you got some really good athletes down there in D1 AA, but they're crib of the crop.
Right.
Like D1 Alabama and stuff like that. But I think the thing I liked about him the most was he can improvise, he can extend a lot of plays, and he has a lot of toughness too. Like he'll go and try to run people over. There's also a negative at the quarterback position. You want that in every other position except for the quarterback.
Right?
Yeah. I think he has a lot of work ethic, and I honestly think he goes through his progressions when he's making reads. He goes through his progressions, and he makes.
I do think he does a good job of
decisions. Yeah, he makes really good decisions throwing the football. But like you said, I think a lot of the stuff is mechanical issues. There's a lot of accuracy issues. Like when he's throwing an out route, he'll throw it behind the wide receiver.
Yeah, or overthrow or.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and a lot of missed 60, 70-yard touchdowns because he'd overthrow somebody.
Right.
There's a lot of stuff like that. And I think a lot of it is like he tries to I think he tries to. He doesn't put too much. He doesn't put hardly any touch on the football. He tries to just drive it in a lot of the times, and it gets no air on it. It's kind of just a line drive, and ends up going over the receiver's head. Instead, if he puts a little bit more touch on it, it gets to the receiver. They can get a touchdown. But I think he has a lot of talent. I think he has a lot of potential. I just think some of those issues are very similar to what Josh Allen had. But I think his ceiling, I think he could be a Deshaun Watson. He reminds me a lot of him. He's very lanky.
Okay, that's a good one. I like that.
I was watching him play. I was like, he kind of looks like Deshaun Watson, like his body built.
You know what? He kind of does. You know what? Yeah, you're right. He kind of does.
Arms, like they're just like dangling and everything. Right. Very fast, very athletic. The only thing that if he can get his accuracy up, he'll be just like Deshaun Watson. My floor for him was Colin Kaepernick, very same body build. And I'm not talking about the San Francisco Colin Kaepernick with John Harbaugh. I'm talking after John Harbaugh. That Colin Kaepernick, after the surgeries and everything, his last couple of years in the league where he wasn't as good. I think that's his floor. There is that type of quarterback with the accuracy issues, great athleticism, has a strong arm, but just doesn't have the accuracy to be a starting NFL quarterback. So I think that's one of the things is if he can get the accuracy up, I think he'll be okay I think he'll be just fine, but the accuracy is a huge issue though.
Right.
So he's at 5. So so we'll move on to number 4.
And you start with number 4.
Yeah, I got Justin Fields at number 4.
Okay.
Yeah, I got Justin Fields. You just want me to go into it? I'm assuming you don't have
go into it. Yeah, I don't have him.
I think he has a great arm. I will get that out of the way. He has a great arm. It reminds me a lot of Cam Newton when he's throwing the football. Like he kind of like tucks it and throws it a little bit.
Okay.
Let me see if I can move your. There we go. Your thing was like in the way of one else. Like your face was. He has great mobility. Obviously, he has great mobility. Everybody knows who Justin Fields is at this point. Great mobility, great speed, great escaping ability. Like he can escape people with speed. He can escape people with strength and power. Like he just outpower some defensive linemen and breakout tackles. And I think he works up in the pocket really nice. Like he steps up in the pocket, makes some good throws, getting hit. And I think he does a lot of stuff really good. I like what he did against Alabama because there's a lot of quarterbacks don't check the ball down a lot in college. They don't really do the check downs. They try to make big plays all the time. He goes down to his check downs a lot, maybe a little bit too much at times. But he goes down to him a lot, and I like that as a quarterback. It's playing it safe. It's playing it smart. And obviously, you're at Ohio State. They're going to make plays for you. You're running back. So he doesn't throw it away often. That's a big takeaway for me. He doesn't throw it away that often. He takes unnecessary risk and sacks and punishment at times. So he doesn't really protect himself.
That's a good point.
That's my big thing. He doesn't really protect himself. He takes I know in the Indiana game, he took about 3 or 4 15-yard sacks or whatever in that game. And it was way too much. And then there was a couple plays where he extended the play way too much, way longer than it had to be. He threw like 3 interceptions in that game.
Right.
I think he tends to stare at his receivers a little bit too much, which is annoying because he can go through his reads at times. And I think he gets better at going through his reads throughout the season. I think the Clemson game and the Alabama game were his best games, going through his reads and being patient through the reads.
I agree with that.
But earlier in the year, he did not go through his reads at all. He kind of stared down receivers till they got open. And I think he shows a lot of growth in him.
Okay.
And having him at number 4 is no slack. Like the 3 quarterbacks above him, I think are really talented. And I think he's very talented. I think he could be a top 5 pick. I think that's how good he is.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff though. I think there's a lot of one side of the reach throws where he's looking to one side and he's only worrying about one side of the field.
Right.
He doesn't, and this is one thing, he doesn't really turn his head a lot after the snap. He just keeps his, if the play's going to the left, if you have like a little high-low concept, you have a little out route and like a corner route, he keeps his head to that side of the field, and if there's nothing there, he just checks it down to the running back. And that's how Ohio State's passing offense kind of went throughout the year in that regard. But he just has a lot of stuff that I like. There's a lot of stuff that he needs to work on. But yeah, I think a lot of the progression stuff, a lot of the unnecessary sacks is why I have him this low, because the other quarterbacks don't do that and don't need to work on that as much. But I really like Justin Fields. I think he has a lot of potential. His ceiling for me is Cam Newton. That's why I compared him to him earlier. I think just the way he plays, he's not as big as Cam Newton, but he plays like Cam Newton.
Okay.
The way he plays, and I think his floor is kind of like a Fitzmagic, where he's just this very fun backup that comes in at times and makes some big plays, makes some really good stuff. So I think he has his floor is like middle, like a backup. It's not going to get him out of the league, but his ceiling is like extremely high. It's like as prime Cam Newton is his potential.
Right. Okay.
MVP and everything.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So my number 4 is Mac Jones, quarterback from Alabama. So for me, he was someone that kind of surprised me. I really liked him quite a bit. Mm-hmm. I think he's a true old school pocket passer. He's not going to wow you with his athleticism or anything like that. The questions I do have are, is he a one-year wonder? Right? That's a fair question. Is he a product of all the talent that was around him? I mean, he's going to have potentially two receivers picked within the top 8 picks in the NFL draft, if not the top 10, in Waddle and Smith. That's pretty special. And not to only mention the fact that he's going to have probably 3 offensive linemen picked within the first 3 rounds. And then he's going to have Najee Harris, who could end up being a first-round running back, if not a second-round back. So I think he was surrounded by a lot of great talent. That's a question to me. I think it's a fair question. But to me, what I love maybe the most about him is he doesn't try to be something he's not. He understands what he is, and he allows himself to excel in that role. Again, he doesn't extend plays too often. He's not going to be a very dynamic quarterback back there or anything like that. I think he has good arm strength, but sometimes I feel like he does float the ball, and it doesn't always zip out of his hands the way you would want it to in certain situations. But I do love his accuracy. His accuracy is amazing to me. I love his ball placement. I think is great. The majority of the time, I do think he reads to his progressions very well. And the fact that, when he does read his progression, he knows he's got to put the ball in the money where it needs to be. And I like that. I think he has good movement in the pocket. I think he moves well within the pocket. Now, does he have to be this world beater running back, like running quarterback? No, he doesn't. But the fact that he moves well in the pocket, I really like that quite a bit. Mm-hmm. Now, I don't think he has a lot of potential to be like this superstar quarterback. I'm not saying any of that. But I think he's a guy that you could draft in the first round and win games with out the gate. I think he's a guy that is NFL ready. If you have some talent around him and you draft him late in the first round, I think he's a guy like, look, if you needed a quarterback to come in and have some success with you and win 8, 9, 10 games, I think he's a guy that could do that for you. My ceiling for him, and I gave him a B grade overall. Mac Jones for me, my ceiling for him was Kirk Cousins. That's kind of what he reminded me of. My floor for him was Mason Rudolph, where it's just, hey, he's okay. He's a backup, and that's okay. But I definitely feel like he has some Kirk Cousins kind of potential where, hey, he's an old school pocket passer. You surround him with talent, and he can help your team be successful. And I did like him quite a bit.
Yeah. So who's your number 3?
So my number 3 is Justin Fields.
All right. Cool.
So what's up?
I said I'll let you go.
Okay. You're gonna have Mac Jones at number 1 or something crazy. So Justin Fields is an A- for me. Again, like a lot of the things you said, I agree with. Quite honestly, he's a great athlete, very very good scrambling ability, and I think he does move really well in the pocket. Not just to scramble, but I think he moves well as a quarterback in the pocket. He does have a really strong arm, and I do think he reads through his progression really well. But he can struggle at times with that. I think he does lock onto his number 1 receiver too much at times. I do think at times he does, like you said, Wyatt. I think he holds onto the ball too long and takes unnecessary sacks and unnecessary hits. I think his footwork can be inconsistent at times. I think he can throw off his back foot a lot, and he can kind of just let the ball float. I said, he tends, and sometimes he doesn't tend to step into his throw. So he has that like tendency to step back and just kind of throw it up, which again can leave too much air into the ball, which is cause for a lot of turnovers and things. But when he does step into it and throw the football, and his footwork is good, it looks amazing to me. I think it looks great, and I feel he has a great playmaking ability. I think he's a guy that you kind of coach up some of the mechanical issues that he can have at times and make those more consistent. And just get him comfortable within your offense. I think he's a guy that can be a great playmaker. I think I really like Justin Fields a lot. And I think he's a guy that should be probably a top 5 pick. I really do. I really like him quite a bit. Now, should you expect him to be a superstar right out the gate? No. Give these guys a chance to grow and get better. But by year 2 and 3, I think he's a guy that we could be talking about as like, hey, Justin Fields is like a legit franchise quarterback. And again, I gave him an A-. For me, Justin Fields still in his Dak Prescott. I think he's a Pro Bowl caliber quarterback. I think he's a quarterback that can be that can put up a lot of stats. That can be a Dak Prescott kind of quarterback. I saw somebody with that comparison, so I'm not gonna take credit for it, but I liked it. I was trying to think of what to compare him to, because he's kind of unique to me, and I think Dak Prescott was a really good ceiling for him. And the floor for him is Jalen Hurts. I think he's a guy with Jalen Hurts. I think has a lot of. I think he's better than Jalen Hurts for sure. But I think some of his issues are the same as Jalen Hurts, and I think he could be limited to a very RPO system kind of way in the NFL. That, hey, look, you might have to tailor an offense to him if he's not able to step it up and become an NFL quarterback. So I think his floor is Jalen Hurts, which is not a bad thing. Like Jalen Hurts, I think if the Eagles give him a chance, like that man will be a good starting quarterback in the NFL.
Yeah. So yeah, my number 3 is probably.
Better not say it.
It's definitely your number 2. It's Zach Wilson.
Okay.
We'll just think about that.
Nothing.
Number 2. I know who your number 1 is already. There's a lot of people's number 1s. So yeah, because I'm not gonna say it. I want to see your reaction to it, because I know I have some hot takes sometimes. But yeah, so yeah, I like Zach Wilson a lot. I think
he's your number 3.
Yeah, I think he has the he's my number 3. He's definitely your number 2, right?
Right. Yeah. We can talk about him together.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
So yeah, Zach Wilson is your number 3. He's my number 2. I love Zach Wilson.
I do too. Great arm talent, and like I said earlier, I love baseball throwing motions like Russell Wilson, Kyler Murray. I love that style of play. I love that throwing motion.
Absolutely.
Because it tends to be very beneficial. You get a lot of side arms in there.
The ball to me zips out of his hand. Like, it rockets out.
Mm-hmm. The one I said, I'll get into the concerns here in a second, but great mobility.
Mm-hmm. Great playmaking ability.
Great escape ability. He can create plays outside the pocket.
Right.
He takes checkdowns. He goes through his reads when asked to do it. And he can throw while getting hit. There's a lot of quarterbacks in this draft that I think are sometimes scared to get hit.
Right.
Or just don't throw well under pressure. I think he does that. And then I think he's going to, especially in the NFL, he's going to have a move. For some reason they're giving Pat Mahomes credit for the no-look pass. Brett Favre was doing it, and Aaron Rodgers was doing it before him.
Right.
But they're giving him the no-look pass move. I think Zach Wilson's going to have the jump throw. That dude grows up in the pocket and just jumps and throws it 40, 50 yards down the field with ease.
Right.
And it's a perfect pass. He had the best deep ball accuracy. I think according to Pro Football Focus,
Yeah.
in the nation last year. So
And to me, that was something that jumped off the page was not only that he did have a great arm and that he could launch the ball into the field, but his ball placement and his accuracy down the field is incredible to me. I love the quarterback that Zach Wilson is. I do. Like, I think he's a guy that I think after my guy that's at number 1, I think you got to take him at number 2. I think if you're the Jets, you don't waste any time. You don't, unless you can get Deshaun Watson and you know what you're going to get in Deshaun Watson, you go ahead and you draft Zach Wilson at number 2. That's just the kind of thank you. I got a cookie. That's just the kind of player that I see in him, quite honestly. He is I love his ability to extend plays. I love his ability to get outside the pocket and make things happen in a Patrick Mahomes-esque way, in a way that you talk about, like in a Russell Wilson-esque way, like these baseball players do, right? His arm angles I like quite a bit, and the way he can kind of fit balls into some weird places. He's a guy that I love watching. He was a fun watch for me.
Did you watch the Coastal Carolina game?
Mm-hmm.
I loved his 2-minute drill in that game. Basically 90 yards in 40 seconds.
Right.
What he was able to do there. That was insane. And then obviously they lose at the 1. But yeah, so I'll get into some of the negatives I have with him. I think one thing is his shoulder history. Yeah, he's had a lot of injuries.
Right.
His throwing shoulder, that scares me a little bit. Especially with some of the stuff he does. He tries to hurdle people. He gets flipped up quite a bit. Which is, you don't really see that from quarterbacks. Usually that people just won't try to hit him. But like, he tries to jump over people and he gets like flipped up and stuff like running backs do.
Yeah, that was something I said, is like he takes too many hits when he runs.
Yeah, I think that was for me too. He does a lot. BYU's offense did a lot of one side of the field reads too. That was another issue, like I had with Justin Fields, where it was just one side. You're just going to read one side. We're going to make it a lot easier for you. But when they did do like basically a whole field read, where he had to read the whole field, he did very well at that.
Right.
I thought he did very well at that, just reading the field. He was very solid with his eyes. Like, he was able to deceive safeties and get one-on-one coverage on deep balls. So I think that was one of his best attributes, was his eye placement on deep balls. Like, he was able to check out safeties. But, yeah, I just think a lot of stuff had to do with BYU's offense. A lot of it
had to do. For me, sometimes his footwork was kind of wonky. Like, there were times where he didn't always set his feet. You know, he would kind of throw off his back foot, or I think sometimes he trusts his arm too much. I don't think he relies on mechanics as much as he should sometimes. Mm-hmm. He's like, hey, I have a great arm. I know I can fit it in there, so I'm just going to let go of the football. And I think sometimes he tries to force the throw at times, and things like that. But I think those are things you can coach up and get out of him. I really think he has so much potential to be a star.
Yeah, and the thing, like, for me, that's okay, because like a lot of times we see quarterbacks get off kilter or off their spot. Their throws are terrible. Like, he's still good though when he does that. Like, he still makes the throws.
Right.
And that's one of the hard things that is like, yeah, he makes those throws, are amazing throws, but like you said, he needs to get that fixed, because somewhere down the line, somebody's gonna start picking him off, or they're gonna start reading and start picking him off.
Right.
Start taking those passes. But who was your ceiling and your floor for him?
So my ceiling was Kyler Murray.
Mine was Russell Wilson. So yes, very similar.
So very similar kind of players, right? Yeah. I don't want to give him the Russell Wilson credit right now. Like I mean, but I think he's very similar to Kyler Murray. I really think a lot of what he does is exactly like Kyler Murray. Mm-hmm. But I think his floor is Sam Darnold. I think he's a guy that, there's some similarities in his game to Sam Darnold's, in my opinion. But I feel like there is a chance that, and I don't think it's always Sam Darnold's fault, but I think there is a tendency where he could end up in a place, if he does go to the Jets, for instance, that, I know it's under new leadership with Robert Saleh, the head coach, and stuff like that. But if you put him in a position that he fails, I think you waste his talent, much like Sam Darnold's done in New York. So, what about you?
Are we talking about ceiling?
Yeah, ceiling.
Yeah, Russell Wilson. I just think like
All right,
when I do
your
ceilings,
floor.
yeah, well, I do ceilings and floors. I just think like what they can be, like what's the highest potential that I think they can
Mhm.
reach. That's why I have like Cam Newton, Trey Lance with Deshaun Watson. So yeah, I think he can reach that. I think he can definitely reach that. Russell Wilson. I think he's more relatable to Russell Wilson too. I think his deep ball is more relatable. I think Kyler Murray at times with his deep ball can get a little bit wonky with his mechanics.
Mhm.
It did a lot last year too. That's why. And he does get off kilter. I think it's a mixture of both of them. Russell Wilson and
Okay.
Kyler Murray. I think it's a little bit mixture of both. But my floor is Trubisky. Very
Oh,
athletic.
okay.
Uh,
That's a good one. I like
I
that one
think I
actually.
think very athletic. Trubisky can do those arm angles too. A lot of people don't know that Trubisky can throw at arm angles and make some really good passes. Trubisky's a placement type of guy. That's why you see him when he makes those beautiful back shoulder throws. That's why he's so effective on those.
Right.
Or he's very effective on a high point pass. Let Robinson or Cole Kmet or Adam Shaheen when he was there go up and get jump balls. That's what Zach Wilson's really good at, just ball placement. He knows where to put the football.
Right.
The problem with Trubisky is though he couldn't read defenses, and that's
Right.
the thing I'm waiting for more consistently, or to see him do more is read defenses. Like I said, BYU did not have a lot of whole read fills; they had a lot of one-side read fills
Right.
and stuff on their offense. So I want to see him, develop his game like that. But I think he's gonna be a solid quarterback either way.
Okay. Okay.
Mhm.
So who's your
Who's your
are we good
floor?
on, are we good on time?
Who's your floor?
My floor is Sam Darnold for him.
Oh, it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, I missed that. Then. Yeah. So we're at 56 minutes, so I'm gonna stop it and then get the thing started back up here
All right.
real quick. Yeah, awkward silence here. Over.
I'm sorry, we get a little break.
Yeah, we can eat your cookie if you want to. NFL only. Was it 2021? Was it 2021 top five? Or was it NFL? I know it's NFL only. Never mind. 2021 top five QB rankings. There we go.
Yeah. That cookie was good. Thanks, babe.
I'm gonna leave that in there.
That's fine.
All right. So yeah, hey, we're back, and yeah, so we're gonna continue. I'm on my number 2, and you're on your 1.
Yeah. So what is your number 2? It better not be what I think it is.
What's this? Oh, what? I'm trying to. Let me see if I can pronounce his name a little bit better.
What?
Jared Garantano from Tennessee. That's my number 2.
Stop, bro. Who is?
I'm just playing.
I was gonna say like, who even is that? I didn't watch nobody named Jared Garantino.
Yeah, he was terrible, man. They literally have there's literally if you go on YouTube, it's literally little 15-minute clips of him just throwing interceptions.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, pick sixes. It's absolutely awful. What they did.
Oh, he's the guy that single-handedly lost to Kentucky, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Tennessee, but yeah. My number 2 is Mac Jones.
Okay.
Yeah, it's Mac Jones. I love the way he goes through progressions. That was my biggest takeaway. He's the most NFL-ready quarterback in this year's draft. I think so.
You're on. I'm not gonna say it.
I think he's the most NFL ready. I think he is.
I mean, look, I think he's NFL ready, but if he's the most NFL ready, he's got to be number 1. You can't put him at number 2.
Yeah, you can. You can talk about potential all you want. I think my number 1 is very close to him NFL ready. Has a lot more potential. So Mac Jones, I love the way he goes through his progressions. I love his decision making. His decision making is his best attribute. He knows where to go with the football. He's great ball placement.
Right.
He played in a pro style offense. He played in Steve Sarkisian's offense.
Right.
He knows how to play in the NFL offense. I think, like you said, he moves very well in the pocket, stepping up. He knows he just moves very well. He's very fluid in the pocket, and he can get back in his. He can get back set and deliver a nice ball. I know he did one against Kentucky where he was like rolling to his left. I watched Kentucky weirdly has had one of the best defenses in the nation. They have one of the best secondaries. So I think watching Kentucky with him, he absolutely dominated them. And he had like that pass where he was going to his left, it was a touchdown, and he just like fitted it in between like three people in the back of the end zone. Like he has the arm talent. It's not the best arm talent. It's not Zach Wilson. It's not comparable to the other people in my top five.
Right.
But it's definitely NFL caliber, and it can definitely just be there for a long time in the NFL.
Right.
And like you say, he's very accurate, especially down the field. I think he was the most accurate passer, or that like a top 5 accurate passer in in college football, and that was a lot of him throwing the football deep.
Right. I get you. Yeah.
He does. I'll say this: he does have speed, like sneaky speed. So if he gets on the edge and he's trying to be the defensive end or a linebacker to the corner, he can do that. He just has no agility whatsoever. He can't make people miss. He doesn't have any escapability, and I think that's what hurts him. But if you get him in a situation where he just has a solid offensive line and he can use his brain and pick defenses apart, especially when he gets more into his career, I think he's just going to be, a very good quarterback.
Here's the thing. I think he's a guy that the Bears should go after.
I think so too.
I think, look, the Bears are not going to get who we have at number 1. They're probably not going to get a guy like Zach Wilson, right? Because they're probably going to be picked higher. But I think a guy like Mac Jones could fall into the first round, like later into the first. But like we both agree, like he's a first round talent, right? He's at 4 for me. He's at 2 for you. I think he's a guy that the Bears should heavily consider because I do think he's NFL ready. I think, again, like I said, he's a guy that can come in right now and win games for you. He's much like a Joe Flacco or much like a Mark Sanchez where he can come in right now and produce the way you need him to. Like he's going to play within the offense. He's going to do what you need him to do. And I think he's a guy that will not lose games for you. Now he might not go and be a Patrick Mahomes and be a hero, but he's not going to lose games for you.
Yeah. My ceiling for him was Carson Palmer. He reminded me a lot of Carson Palmer when I was just watching.
You know what? I like that. I like that one. I might change mine. I like that one actually quite a bit.
Yeah. He just reminded me of him.
I like that.
Very accurate, very intelligent with the football. Not the best athlete, but Carson Palmer was able to be a Pro Bowl caliber quarterback for a long time in the NFL. And if you had a better organization rather than Cincinnati, I think
and then he went to Oakland. You remember that?
Yeah.
Gosh, damn.
Yeah, but if he had a better organization, if he had
and he didn't get hurt.
What do you say?
And he didn't get hurt.
Yeah, I think he could. There's a possibility he could make the Super Bowl as a quarterback. Definitely some more conference championships though, rather than that one Arizona. He would have definitely made more. But Carson Palmer could have had a Hall of Fame career if he was with a different organization. So I think Mac Jones he just reminded me a lot of Carson Palmer, and I think his floor is kind of like a Chad Henne. Like very smart, very intelligent quarterback. Not the best arm in the world.
Could win games and be a really good backup.
Yeah. Just doesn't have the best arm in the world. But yeah, he's a very intelligent dude. I think Matt Jones is gonna be in the NFL for a while. Whether he is a starter or say if he does flop, he's just going to be a backup, a very intelligent backup for a team. So
I agree.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So number 1, it has to be
Johnny Garantano from
Garantano,
whatever his name is.
Garantano. No way.
I'll be disrespectful when you play that bad against him.
He's hated man in Tennessee. I know that for sure.
All right. So number 1, we both have Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, Trevor Lawrence. Yeah. You thought I wouldn't put him here.
I didn't think so. I mean, he was an A+ grade for me. It doesn't get much easier than that, in my opinion.
I think there's some stuff off with him. I'll get into that a little bit.
Oh
Uh,
no, I have some stuff. I have some negatives about him. He's not perfect.
but yeah, I don't think he's on the level. This is for me. I don't think he's on the level of John Elway, Peyton Manning, and Andrew Luck coming in. Like I don't think he can change organizations around like that, or change teams around. What Andrew Luck was able to. John Elway did it with the Broncos. Peyton Manning did with the Colts, and then Andrew Luck took a 2-14 team with even a worse roster that next year and got
Right.
to 5 and got them to a wild card loss where they lost to the eventual Super Bowl winners that year.
Right.
I don't see Trevor Lawrence doing that. Say if he gets drafted by Jacksonville, I don't see him doing that.
Did you see Jacksonville not picking him though? Oh my gosh.
I think it's a possibility they could go with I think
Zach
Justin
Wilson.
Fields.
Or Justin Fields.
I think
yeah.
Justin Fields. If Urban Meyer wants Justin Fields, I'm gonna go with Justin Fields.
Oh, I didn't even think about that. That's a good point.
But
But I'm sorry, because you got to pick the guy that's going to be the for sure thing, right? Like,
I was gonna say Mac Jones could be like the safest almost pick, where like he's just going to be. He's not going to be. I don't think he's going to be like a huge flop, but he's just going to be a safe.
okay, if you said safest, I like safest pick better than most NFL ready. You know what I'm saying? I think there's a difference.
I don't think so. I don't think. I think there's a difference, but not that much of a difference.
Okay.
If you go
Well,
on
for me with Trevor Lawrence, I mean, for me, I think he has great awareness. And I think he has a great understanding of the game. I think he's far and above a lot of these guys in that aspect. I think he reads through his progression really well. I really like that. He's an amazing athlete. That's something that when you look at him, you don't really think. But then when you watch him play and you watch him run and you watch him run through tackles and break tackles and make people miss, and then not only that, but outrun corners and safeties, that's something that's really impressive to me. I think he has great size as well. And like I just said, deceptive speed. He does a great job of extending plays as well. He's a guy that's capable of, hey, when the play breaks down and the pocket collapses, he can go and extend the play. And he can create positive yards off script with the best of them, in my opinion. He's not afraid of pressure. I think that was one of the things that was impressive to me is, you know, he's not going to get flustered. Like, he will stand in the pocket and take a shot and deliver the football. And I absolutely love that. He throws a beautiful deep ball. He may not have the strongest arm we've ever seen, but it's a good arm. It's a very strong arm. And he can make every throw you need him to. That's all that matters. I think he has great movement in the pocket, just as every quarterback should that's going to be taken number one. But I think sometimes, you know, he does get locked onto his first read, right? I think sometimes he can rely on, hey, look, this is where I'm supposed to go, and then I've got to put it there. I think he can force the ball sometimes. I think he can put it and not play it safe the way he needs it to at times. And I think he does have a tendency to fumble, which I think is fixable. But I do think he has a tendency to, you know, not hold on to the ball and cough it up. To me, it's hard because there's not much in his game that I look at and be like, well, you know, like this needs to be changed or this needs to be changed. Like, to me, he's as sure of a number one pick in my mind at number one for quarterbacks since Andrew Luck, in my opinion. Is he Andrew Luck? No, I don't think he's Andrew Luck. But I think he's very comparable to him in the sense that I think he's that ready to come in and be a franchise quarterback.
Yeah, I like I really like his athleticism too. His ability to create with his feet, like whether it be like just passing it or scrambling. He has a great arm. Like you say, he can make all the throws you need him to.
Right, exactly.
I think one thing for Clemson is they did run a lot of RPOs, which he's great at reading.
Yes,
He's
that was
probably
something
the
that was
best
hard
reader.
because you want to see more of him reading through a progression, and that's absolutely something that I did pick up on was, you know, yeah, they do play a lot of RPO heavy. So that is going to be an adjustment that he has to make going to the NFL.
And that was my biggest concern for him. And like, there were times when they did go into like a certain situation, he would stare down receivers, and he'd get intercepted. Especially over the middle of the field, like he would do that, and like, what are you doing? Like he actually, I think he threw it outside the hashes better than he did inside the field at times. During games because he's able to look off safeties, which I thought his eyes were inconsistent. The Notre Dame game, the ACC championship game, was probably his best game with his eyes He's made a lot of throws downfield, tricking safeties with his eyes, and making some beautiful passes. But he's inconsistent. I think that's my biggest takeaway from it. Is he's inconsistent. He has the great freshman year. He bombs the second year or his sophomore year.
I wouldn't say he bombs, but yeah,
But
he
the
didn't live up. He
expectations
didn't live up to his freshman year. I guess.
Yes, and his third year, I
I
thought
think
was
he redeemed himself. Yeah.
I thought he was really good. I just don't think he was as. I think his best year was his freshman year.
Okay.
I think that was at. I think that was his freshman year because obviously he won the championship that year. And I probably think that's probably. I know a lot of people say this is the best Alabama team,
Right.
but I really like the Alabama team 2 years ago that he played and won the championship against.
Right.
He lost to Ohio State this year. I think a far superior Ohio State team this year. He lost to who did he lose last year? Joe Burrow. That team was disgusting. I'm sorry. The LSU team was nasty last year. But he got outplayed in that game by Joe Burrow.
Hey, Joe Burrow was on fire though.
Yeah, I know.
And still, like, I think at times, like Trevor Lawrence, yeah, like I think he can be a little turnover, happy. I think he does trust his ability sometimes more than trusting the read and the flow of the offense.
Mm-hmm.
But I love Trevor Lawrence, man. Like I think he's gonna do great. I don't see him being a bomb in the NFL. Now, could he not live up to the expectation? Absolutely. Anybody has that potential. But you want me to get into my ceiling and floor?
Actually, I'm gonna do mine. Actually,
okay, yeah, you go yours. You do yours. You do yours. I know mine, but
I got I know mine too, Houston. Wrong now. Nah, I'm just playing. Yeah, so I got Aaron Rodgers.
Okay.
The way he plays reminds me a lot of Aaron Rodgers.
Okay.
And I think the way he conducts himself a little bit, without the arrogance. Like he's not very. He doesn't come off cocky like Aaron Rodgers does.
I'll say that I do like the fact that I feel like he is humble. I don't get he feels like he's better than everyone else vibe. I don't get that from him.
Yeah, but I just his play on the field like Aaron Rodgers for me, and I think his floor is Ryan Tannehill.
Oh, okay, yeah. All right. You said Ryan Tannehill?
Is that your floor?
Yeah. So my ceiling for him was Andrew Luck. I think he's very comparable to Andrew Luck in a lot of areas. And in all honesty, now, I think Andrew Luck was a better quarterback than Trevor Lawrence, and that's just my opinion. Maybe I'm biased as a Colts fan. But I think Trevor Lawrence is comparable. I think he has that kind of ceiling to be that special. But yeah, absolutely, his floor is Ryan Tannehill, and I think, look, you put him in a situation, maybe he, Ryan Tannehill's a good athlete. He's a former receiver. He has a good arm. He plays within the offense and does what he needs to do to help that team win. I think that's a great comparison for him as Ryan Tannehill, honestly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I think one thing that Jimmy to Ryan Tannehill was like you said, Ryan Tannehill plays within the offense. He does what the coach wants him to do.
Right.
Points at Clemson. He did whatever Dabo Swinney wanted him to do. That's what he did.
Right.
And that's what I took away from it. He has the same, I think, kind of athleticism as Ryan Tannehill. Ryan Tannehill, he makes some I think he's very good with his ball placement, like Ryan Tannehill is. Mm-hmm. So I just don't see him being anything below Ryan Tannehill.
Right. Which is a very good, top 12, top 13 quarterback in the NFL, at least.
Yeah, and then he has a high ceiling though, but so let's go over our top 5 again.
Yeah, now we won't go through top 10, but we'll go through our top 5.
Yeah. So number 5, I have Trey Lance. Number 4, I have Justin Fields. Number 3, I have Zach Wilson. Number 2, I have Mac Jones, and number 1, I have Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, so for me, I have number 5 is Trey Lance. Number 4 is Mac Jones. Number 3 is Justin Fields. Number 2 is Zach Wilson, and then number 1 would be Trevor Lawrence. Yeah, I think it is a good class. I think especially at the top, I do like a lot of those guys. There's some issues with some of them, but I'm if I'm a team that needs a quarterback, I'm happy with some of the guys that you can get in this class, in my opinion.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
So, that I guess that does it for the for going over the top quarterbacks of this class. We're gonna kind of switch it up because instead of going like all offense and all defense, we're gonna go through kind of like what's important. And we're gonna switch it up offense to defense. And so from quarterbacks, we will go to the guys who have to get to the quarterbacks, and we'll go and talk about edge rushers next. I think this is a class that I've heard has a lot of depth to it, which I'm curious to see if that's true in my perspective and what I see on film. I'm very curious to watch the top guy who a lot of people consider a one-hit wonder, but also has a lot of great physical traits to him. So I'm very curious to kind of dive into this edge rusher class.
Yeah, I am too. And follow us on social media. Make sure to check out the YouTube channel and stuff. I'm gonna try to get some stuff posted up here on YouTube within either this week or the week after it, because I just moved in from college, trying to still get in the college mode a little bit, but. I'll try to get some YouTube stuff posted up. It won't be NFL or stuff like that because Madden, like I said before on a couple podcasts ago, Madden decided to delete my file on stuff. So but it is what it is. So just make sure you go out and check out the YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe to it,
right?
As well. Good. Yeah, and make sure to like this podcast, share it, rate it 5 stars, and make sure to comment with any criticism that you have. We're always open to criticism.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, let us know if there's anything that you would want us to do different or anything else you would want us to talk about or whatever the case is.
Yeah. Also, on social media, make sure to follow us at Spark Talk 2 on Twitter.
And then just add Spark Talk on Instagram.
Yeah, that too. And then, you want to say yours, Houston?
Yeah, and then just follow me at Varsity Ginger, which is on Twitter and Instagram for me.
At Varsity Ginger 55.
At Varsity Ginger 55, yes. I'm glad you remember my own handle.
Yeah, and mine is just on Instagram _Sparky_4.
Awesome.
Yeah,
we appreciate you guys joining in and listening to this week's podcast. We hope you guys are gonna enjoy, us diving in to just about 150, a little over 150 players in this year's class.
Mm-hmm.
I wish we could dive into the hundreds of players that are there, but we don't have that kind of time. But we're definitely going to dive into, no less than 12 to 15 players at every position, if not at least up into the 20, 25 range on a couple positions. And like I said, diving into over 150 players in this year's class. Which will take us well over the third, fourth round kind of area, and allow us to really get a good feel for the kind of depth and kind of talent that's in this class this year. And I thought it was fun to go over the quarterbacks, and I'm kind of more excited to go over the edge rushers. I think that's always fun for me to watch those guys because that's just some of my favorite position to watch. So.
Yeah. So it's gonna wrap it up here. Thank you all again for listening. Have a good weekend. Hopefully you enjoy y'all's weekend. Enjoy some basketball. I know some college basketball is going on. So enjoy that and enjoy the off season up to the draft too. Watch some film yourselves. Form your own opinion on it too.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think that's something we're gonna do different this year. Is I haven't really paid attention to anybody else's opinion on the draft class. Because last year I felt like it skewed some of the way I graded guys and watched the film. And so this year I want to have a clean slate of, hey, when I watch a guy, I don't know anything about him. So I have to learn everything about him myself and form my own opinion. So I agree with that. It's a good point.
Yeah. So have a good day, everybody.
All right. See y'all. Peace.